Hey guys, Terence here. We got a good show today. Do us a favor. Go out, put out some shares on this, whether it's on YouTube, go share it in some of your other social networks or on Facebook. Let's build a good audience today, and we'll see you in just a few minutes. Hey guys, Terence here with Paul. Another episode, a New Year episode of Let's Talk Reef.
Yes, we are here.
Yep, absolutely. Hopefully our bandwidth is going to hang in there where it needs to be. It did go back up. We were a little worried right before we went live, but it's a new year.
It's a new year, 2021, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it is.
I got the memo. I'm to that part now where I'm writing the date. I'm no longer writing 20. I'm starting to write 21.
I woke up and hoped that the new year would mean an instantaneous no COVID.
Yeah.
I was disappointed. January 1st. It's
So
still there.
you thought it was going to be a New Year's miracle, huh?
I was hoping so.
Yeah, it would have been nice.
But alas, it was not. But we have a great year coming for Neptune Systems. I think 2021 is going to be awesome. I had many an episode of this show last year where it was like, yeah, we're not going to be coming to this show, and we're not going to be coming to this show, and I don't know if we're going to come to this one yet. And ended up that I went to one event last year.
I remember. I didn't get a chance to get to that one. I read this view of how many man hours are lost, right? Like actual man hours have been lost, in the last year. And then, what is the respective refuel that has been lost? Like what percentage of it matters to you that you've lost, right? So those sort of things, like the things going on vacation, going out to eat, all these things are things that regenerate you that we don't have right now.
Yeah, you motor on with work and you motor on with family and you try to adapt and everything, but the reef keeping scene is...
We are getting there.
I
can feel it. So,
but the reef keeping scene, it's definitely part of you. It's part of me, and it's part of not just a job. It's what makes the passion of what we do in our overall lives great, right? Which is our work and the hobby and everything else. And having a full year of not having that was just a real bummer for me.
Yeah, talking to the control freaks, it re-energizes.
Yes,
it really does.
And though we love you guys so much, it is kind of a one-way street or 1.5 because we get the text, but it's not like being face-to-face for sure.
Not the same at all.
No doubt, no doubt. Well, 2021 looks to be like a great year for Neptune Systems. I think that some people are going to have some things come out this year that are not a surprise, and there are going to be some surprises.
I think there are going to be some great surprises. We already knew what was in the cards for this year for us, but we did our planning meeting, in the last couple weeks, and I'm excited.
I'm
super excited. We got a lot on our plate, and I am so excited.
Obviously, we've got the sky to look forward to, and that's definitely something that, look at that. There's the logo.
I am so excited about this,
Me too.
And yes, it's another LED light, and I get that people are not that excited about it, but I've seen what it's done just in my own aquarium.
What else can be done, people said. What else is there to do? Haven't we already gone to the moon? I mean, really.
And
at least some people think we haven't gone to the moon. But
I just think it's taking so many things that I like about different LED fixtures and different fixtures in general, and incorporating that all into one.
It's a lot of learning. Experience. There's a lot of learning that has happened over many, many years. Many people have been part of paying for the learning in a way through being part of the LED kind of evolution of time. But we're at a point now, I think, where there's been a couple of really big changes in the way that we look at how we light our reef tanks.
Yep.
And we're going to bring some of that stuff forward. And it's definitely going to be a big year that way for us. I'm really, really excited. What I've seen that light do for coral and the efficacy and everything else, I can't wait to be able to tell everybody out there all of the different details.
Yeah.
And getting it out there. We're already in the process of getting it out there.
It is on over on people's tanks at this point. I'm just going to refine that as to people at this point. And not get any more descriptive.
And not just like empty tanks. We're talking like serious aquariums.
And it was getting their feedback, since it's been over their tanks, and them experiencing what you've been experiencing, what I've been experiencing.
Absolutely.
It's really building the excitement.
Yeah, we're not there completely yet.
No.
But we have so much done that it is over tanks. It's going to continue to be over more tanks out there. We do have an NSI program. We are already pulling from that NSI program the people. The next question I know we're going to get out there is, how do I become one of those people?
It's too late.
It's for the sky. Right now it's too late because we already have a group of people that we tried, that signed up last year to say we want to be part of the next NSIs. So maybe, I don't know, in a few months we'll maybe go back to that and put a survey out again and try to get more people. But right now we have hundreds of people in there, and then from that we pulled out people that seem to be the right people. And right now we want to make a lot of people who have really successful tanks already that are running really insane coral and whatnot, and put the sky over those tanks and see if they can even be better.
We're all looking for all flavors. It doesn't necessarily mean that you are that person that has just the great, banging SPS tank, right? We want that person who has softies and LPS. We're looking for a large spectrum of people, and also we're looking for people that don't have that much experience, with an Apex.
That's
right?
correct.
So if you want to be involved in this, right? You fill out the information. Hopefully, something you had on your tank, was represented a greater population of our customers.
Yep. And Joseph, Jose Perez Red. That's what it says. Now that I got it, it says, how do I sign up? Well, you just got to pay attention. Like our Facebook page and look for the next announcement when we have that. So
right, and we're going to every time we announce it on Facebook, we announce it on the live streams, we announce it, I think on Twitter even, right? So we make it very publicized that we are accepting applications. We usually accept applications for 2 to 3 weeks, and then we close it down because it's a lot of data you got to.
And it's likely you guys will start seeing at some point in the not too distant future. You'll start seeing. Probably you won't see the actual light, just so you know, but you might know that somebody is running it. And that will evolve over time, over the next weeks and months. And it'll be it's going to be a fun reveal overall.
I'm just really excited.
Yeah, no doubt.
So that's all I can say without saying more.
Yep.
So.
And we have other products too that are in the pipeline for this year. And so it's going to be a really busy year for us. I'm hoping, again, those trade shows are where we get refueled, we get feedback from people, direct from people, we get to feel their excitement, person to person.
Yes, it's tangible, right? And it's not just the sky this year. We have a lot of exciting things planned. From the very small things that you don't think are going to make a big difference, but we think it's going to make a big difference for you because you're not thinking about it yet, or things that are also just going to be hopefully other game changers.
I think so. We've got a question up here from Brandon Atkinson. It says, I need to have some troubleshooting done with my Trident. Got it used from a friend. It's never been right. This is going to be your episode to some degree because we're going to be talking a lot about the Trident and maintenance and things of that nature. So we've got a few topics we're going to hit on first, and then we're going to get into really a big reveal of what the recommended maintenance or service program is for the Trident. So stick around for that, all you guys. And again, if you can, share this, get the word out. People are always asking about the Trident, asking about this particular subject for sure. A couple of things I want to hit on before that. I saw a really cool post this week from Devin over at Reef Dudes.
Oh yeah.
And
I saw that too.
Yeah. He's not always doing too much video stuff on the Trident, on the Apex these days. But I saw this one pop out. There's Devin on the screen right there, and he's holding up what looks like a movie reel. But in actuality, it is a bunch of LEDs that are on a strip, so a flexible circuit board, so to speak. And he's showing on this video, it's a really cool video, how to use these LEDs, connect them up to a DC 24 port on your Energy Bar 832.
Okay, using the bare wire?
Using the one you can buy the bare wire kit from your dealer, and you plug it in. There you see on the screen, you can see the bare wire, you can see the 2 wire connections down there where it says DC 24 accessory. Those basically switch off and on just like a regular outlet.
Yep.
And so you can set up a configuration there that you have a particular error or a condition that you want to be alerted to, and the light or whatever you have plugged into there gets turned on.
Right. And you can, you would basically just set that up as almost an alarm outlet, that DC 24 volt output. Heck, you could even use one of the email alarms and then copy some, paste some stuff, and the task will take care of all that for you. He could even use that if you wanted to use like white lights or something. You could put a little switch on it, and so when he opens his door, right, the LED lights illuminate.
That's a very good point, Paul, because I know people have done that, and I know there's a commercial version of that. I can't say where it's coming from yet, but there is a commercial version, not from us, but from a third party that's making one of those for inside the tank lighting. So,
that's one of the things I'm actually really excited about, what's happening right now with Neptune Systems products, right? We
Absolutely.
have so much on our plate, right? And it's great to see other people, you've had Harry for a number of years, but some other commercial entities are really starting to scale this up.
Well, this is what you see. This is one of the reasons people often ask on the internet, how do I make a choice about which product to buy? How do I know? And there's the obvious things, quality, service, software, all of those things. But I was asked the question on Derek Picker's Reef Automation channel about 3 or 4 months ago when he said, Terence, what separates the Neptune Apex from everything else out there? Give me one thing, not 2, not 3, not 5. And by the way, people fail this question all the time on his channel because they give him like 3 or 4 things. They don't listen to the question.
One thing.
Just one thing. And I said, it's really the size and quality of our user base, that once you get this product, you're not having to lean on 50 or 100 or even 185, whatever amount of people there are. There are tens of thousands of people just like you, and many of them have already done it, and a bunch are doing more stuff that just continually builds on itself.
Exactly, and it's it's people thinking outside of the box, right? Using the tools that we've given them.
Right.
So we've given them these DC 24 volt outputs, right? We've given them switch inputs, you know. And there's even some more exciting things that are coming that we can't necessarily talk about right now. But we're giving them all these tools,
right?
And they're making the most of it, and then making our ecosystem even stronger.
Well, and the reason these companies want to do this also is because you're not selling, like I said, 5 or 10 controllers or something. There's tens of thousands of them out there. So if any of these companies want to put the time and effort into building an accessory or a thing, it's like you need to have a market for it. And so because we have that market, more stuff will be built. It's just the way it works.
And
it's very cool. So anyway, let's go on with what Derek did here and show the rest of that. So basically he gets the wire, he gets the LEDs, he's using a soldering iron to bring those LEDs, you know, soldered up to those 2 bare wires that are on the DC-24. And then the really cool thing that I thought he did was he's got this light rack over the top of his tank that you see there, and I think it's 80-20, right? That he's using an extruded aluminum channel, and he takes those LEDs, and if you're familiar with that channel, it's got 4 channels, 1 on each side, and he slides that strip, that little ribbon, right down
in the center,
right down the center of that. So now it illuminates the ceiling. And it's just a really cool idea, and I can see how somebody could do that with like 1 or 2 colors. You know, if they wanted to know if it's a really bad problem or they forgot and left something on. Who knows?
Sky's the limit. Basically,
did I say Derek? I meant Devin. Sorry, Devin. I apologize. Okay.
Both Ds.
One of you changed your name without a D on it. Okay.
So, and there are 2 of those DC-24.
We're showing you on here. Okay. You know, can't you be grateful? I mean, after all, I got to get the name right too. No, just kidding.
There are 2 DC 24 volt outputs on the EB832. Any additional EB832 you get, you also get those DC 24 volt outputs. And
also, Alan Anderson says here, Paul, to interrupt you, he's like, what about in Australia? Is there a module?
The one link. So we do have a one link module. So it takes those 3 one link ports and those 2 DC 24 volt ports and makes those available. We also sell a power supply that just terminates in the connection. Right?
Yeah.
Not in the bare wire, right? But so you can then use.
Yeah. Well, that doesn't exactly helpful in this situation, but
you could use a DC 24 volt extension cable, and then you'd be in.
Okay.
Anyways, sorry, we get in the weeds. I'm just gonna.
So anyway, I thought it was really cool that that Devin did this out on Reef Dude's channel, which is on YouTube. So go give it a look. You know, maybe give a subscribe because he does a lot of cool stuff, and maybe he'll do some more Neptune stuff. You know, down the road.
I mean, I guess we just have to be cool enough.
I guess so. Maybe,
right?
maybe that's part of it. Anyway, he got the plug. There you go, Devin. So that was one thing I noticed. The next thing is yesterday I got my latest edition of Coral magazine.
It's like Christmas every time these show up. I love this publication.
It is the only publication in my opinion. Okay, there's really to my knowledge there's 2 print publications that still exist that are pertinent to the reef keeping hobby.
Right.
There's this one and there's another one. And this one is beautiful. They use quality paper, great photography. It's not faded out. And then there's the other one. And it's amazing. Every month they put together a great issue that always features something. And this month's feature is spawning. And so coral spawning.
So you can get this still. Like if you want to get it afterwards, I think spawning this year is going to, it's already starting to blow up, but I think it's going to be the hobbyist level is going to start getting.
So that's a big part of what's in these articles in here is this whole move from it being something that only the scientists do, that us reef hobbyists can do. And we've really been on the forefront of many things, right? In terms of breeding fish and all of these things, the hobbyists have been on the forefront of it. In this case, a lot of the hobbyists have done some things in this, but the scientists have really started it, and they're kind of pushing it over the fence now to hobbyists and saying, you can do this, and when you do it, there's so many of you, you're probably going to uncover some really cool things that we haven't even thought about.
Right, because everything's different variables, right? And
lots of them.
And how many different spawning articles were there? There were so many spawning articles in this.
Oh, it is. Right? It's the whole thing is full of it. And there's Jamie Craggs from the Horniman Museum, who I've been out there and seen his setup. He was one of the first ones to really create the equation for this.
And he used an Apex
repeatable.
He used an Apex Classic. Does he still use an Apex Classic?
He still uses an
So
Apex Classic.
he uses an Apex Classic for that. He uses the season tables,
WXM and Radeon lights.
Yep.
That was the kind of the core starting, I think, in 2014, is I think when he started doing that. And then Richard Ross replicated it. So here's the Richard Ross article, right? Ripe for Innovation. And his article is about how do we move this forward with hobbyists. So Richard Ross and Jamie now have coral spawning labs in their homes.
Right.
So Jamie is doing it with his family. He's actually using it as a teaching thing, a STEM kind of thing for his kids, for his, I think they're...
So cool.
Yeah, I think they're maybe middle school age kids. And then Richard Ross has a secret home lab that he's had forever, which is not so secret home lab. And so he's brought the spawning home from what he was doing at Cal Academy of Sciences. We did do a great video where we showed
at Cal
Academy of Sciences how it's done, how he's used the Apex. You can see that's one of my favorite screenshots of Rich there, where he's like, "I am the mad scientist," and he's actually inside the room that is all enclosed with wood. I mean, it's way more. Like,
it's that one is much more, we are going to control all the variables.
Absolutely.
Right? Whereas his home lab he does a really good job at it, but some extraneous things get added in,
Yeah, and this one is a kind of a step up from what Jamie Craig's. Jamie Craig's literally has like sheets behind him of plastic and stuff to darken this area and doesn't have a whole lot of space. They built this all from scratch here at the Cal Academy of Sciences, and Rebecca Albright, that's her lab, Dr. Rebecca Albright. And yeah, we even got a little little cameo there. I have to show off the cameo for
he uses the Apex extensively
in all of his stuff. Yes,
it's been a lot of fun helping him out with that.
So there's great articles in here on spawning. I encourage you guys to get a subscription to this publication. Really do it. You get a digital subscription and a print subscription. It is a great coffee table book. It's great when you have people over to show them different things. And it's the one magazine I think is really worth your subscription these days to put the money into if you love this hobby. So do that. Check out the coral spawning one, and yeah.
And I think one great thing about this is I think anyone picks it up, even if they're not into aquariums, and the photography and the pictures and everything else. It's one of the reasons why I think we sponsor it, right? It just makes it so ubiquitous for all people, right? They're cool looking pictures, and then if you want to get into the information, you absolutely can.
I mean, the photography is great. I mean, just look at that. I don't know if that's a hyacinth coral,
I think that's what it is.
I think it's a hyacinth, but it looks like it's got little like little COVID balls coming off of it, and that's.
Hey now, don't mix things that we don't like with things that we love.
Isn't that what they look like though?
They kind of look like.
They do. They do. But that's the eggs coming off of them, and there's a whole thing, and you can learn all about it in that video that we did at the Cal Academy of Sciences. Oh, what?
Spawning coral.
Oh, thank you. Yes. So off camera here, Vincent is giving me a clue here. On top of that. Right, if you want to learn about how to do this yourself with your Apex and what Richard Ross is doing, Richard Ross has been so nice to actually moderate and help answer questions out in a brand new forum out in the Neptune Systems community forum for coral spawning. So he's got some links out there already in one post to kind of send you someplace. But if you have a question on how he did it or how to do it, go out to the forum and ask him a question. Let's light it up on the coral spawning forum. You didn't even know that existed, did you?
No.
Neither did Vincent.
That Rich just brought that Rich is participating. I just really like that guy.
I have some influence on Rich.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
He is a great guy. So okay, so that's some of the spawning stuff. Thank you, Vincent, for queuing in there. He's doing in the wings, feeding me cues.
Stepping it up for 2021.
Definitely. All right, so next thing I want to talk about as we segue into the main topic for today is obviously any of you guys or many of you guys that are out there. Jason Bretsky, nice to see you. You guys participate out in our social media channels like our community on Facebook. You notice I try to get involved, and I read a lot of stuff out there, and some of it I just have to wonder how it gets started.
Where the information comes from. I mean, me and you, right? In particular, we spend so much time. I particularly don't respond all that often, but you do respond. But we spend so much of our time just reading what you guys are saying.
Trying to get the feedback.
Trying to understand where you guys are coming from and what's going on. And some comments sometimes you just...
Well, what ends up happening is some of it is like the telephone game, right? Where somebody says something, they heard it from somebody else, they repeat it, they don't quite get everything about the information, but they pass it on. And then the next person takes that and they lose a little bit of the information and pass the next thing on. And so I want to talk about a few myths that I've seen recently that are Trident related. There's
lots of
them.
myths, all right?
But the first one, that I was reading lately has to do with the Trident and has to do with all I see. I'm thinking about getting the Trident, but all I see is problems, problems, problems everywhere. Everybody's having a problem with their Trident.
Yes.
And I was like, really?
While we can't shed specific light on the actual numbers, the amount of people that we actually get in contact with, right? Or even if you say that every person who posts out there, that you see a post, it is such a small percentage of people are actually having issues.
Right.
Further that, any of those people who actually contact us with those issues, we get them resolved.
For sure. But moreover, the thing that's often missed out in the space of, for instance, our
Facebook
group, our
group.
Facebook group, is how big how big is the set, so to speak. So in the case of the Tridents, all you are seeing are people who have an issue. It's a small subset of people, and the volume of people who have Tridents, I don't think people really understand, and without giving any numbers, it's thousands of Tridents that have been sold. Not 50, not 100, not 450, not 1,000. It's thousands of Tridents.
Thousands upon thousands.
And if you have a Trident and it's working awesome and it's ticking along doing what you want, I can assure you that person is doing something else other than visiting a forum telling you how awesome their Trident is, because it just is there and they just take it as this is awesome.
And it works great, right? And and I appreciate all the people that come in and be like, nope, not me, nope, not me, nope. I really, everyone lifts me up a little bit more. I do appreciate that.
Now that said, nothing is perfect, and there are issues, and they do pop up every day. There's an issue here or an issue there that somebody has.
And we're going to talk today about some of those things, some of those moving parts.
Right.
So.
Right, and I get why people do it too, Paul. It's because, think about it this way: it's 9 o'clock at night. You've got an issue with something that you love, that you've always had, whatever it is. It's 9 o'clock at night. And on one hand, you can go to our support page and fill out a ticket and wait. Or you can go someplace where there's 11,000 people just like you and see if one of those 11,000 happens to be up at 9:30 at night and can answer your question, and you can be done with this now. So it's a complete understanding of why people go out there and do that. There's no doubt.
I get it, but it does crack me up when they're not even talking about a subject, but then somehow someone will bring in I've had all these problems, Then you look them up and they've never actually contacted you.
That's the other thing too.
It's like, I've had all these problems, and you look these people up and they've never contacted you. Occasionally you actually be like, oh wow, he did have some problems.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
But we do look at all this stuff too, and sometimes even when we think that it's not the deal that it was, the perspective of the user is important, and what they think is most important, and how we interpret something, right, that we thought was like, wow, we thought that came off pretty good, and then you realize, no, they thought about it a completely different way, and you learn from that, and you adapt how you help people and how you service people, for sure.
Anyways.
So that's good on that. I know, Paul. So one of the first things that we that are actual issues that seems to come up, and I know Derek did a video on this, so I'm going to give him a little bit of hell for it, is the cuvette cleaning. Yes. Right?
So there's this concept that all these things in the Trident, are wearing out, and I have to, and look at how dirty my cuvette is.
Right.
Right? And so I need to get in there and I need to clean it. Okay? And in some circumstances that may be true, but you have to understand one thing about the Trident and the way that it works. It's working off of ratios all the time.
Right.
Right? It never actually matters what the milliliters or the drops are or anything like that. It's the ratio of one thing to another. That's how it works, right? And so if your cuvette is dirty, it doesn't matter, because it's still that proportion.
It
matters a little, but it doesn't matter a lot,
Well, I think what I like to take from this is that a lot of people know 5 things that can possibly go wrong because they heard about them here, there, or the other. So as soon as somebody has a problem, somebody else trying to be helpful and who has seen something somewhere else says, hey, have you cleaned the cuvette yet? And it can have nothing at all to do
with the actual problem.
With the actual problem, and then you start down this road, and by the time one of your service people actually get a chance to contact this person the next day, right? They've already gone through like
all these
5
things,
or 6 other things that they didn't need to.
And
so anyway, the cuvette thing is a myth. It does not get, in most people's situations, it does not get dirty enough in the time frame before what we're going to talk about today that it is going to cause you a problem.
And if you are concerned about the operation of your Trident and you think that, you pull off the visor, you're like, wow, look at how dirty that is, reach out to our support team, right? We'll take a look at things and see if that is something that's going to improve your situation or not improve your situation, let you know if you're actually having an issue. There are instances where it does make sense, Look, and we'll get into, I see
Derek says he blames John.
It's not John's fault.
We have to give a shout out to John.
Not John's fault. John is our support manager, and John does a great job. Great job at communicating to customers.
He does, absolutely.
He does, and there are things that do happen, and John.
But it's worth a good tease.
He makes it work.
Yes, he does. But it's worth a good tease.
Absolutely.
All right, next one that I've seen for a long time, and it's a great segue into what we're really is the main topic for today, which is, I see often people come out onto the social media and they're like, I'm thinking about getting a Trident, but I heard that every 6 months I got to send it in for repair. Or I've heard that every year I have to send it in for repair.
It's required.
And it's required. And if you don't do this, it won't work. And it costs a ton of money to do it. And there's all of these related myths around that.
And today we're going to hopefully dispel some of those myths, number one.
Well,
because
I'm hopeful, but I'm going to say again, because of so many times we communicated other things early on especially about this thing, because one of the things that's interesting to me is it's not 6 months on our product.
No.
Although we came out early on and told people you need to do something at 18 to 24 months, there are other products out on the market that use peristaltic pumps and that do testing and things like this that have service intervals that are 6 months or less.
And they don't actually...
they don't tell you that up front.
They don't tell you that up front, right? So that's
well, not at least in an obvious way, which we were trying to do. So
let's narrow.
But we're here now.
So we're gonna go through the Trident recommended service program. Okay. What the options are going to be, what is included in that, what isn't included in that, how it will work. Right,
okay.
So the different service options, right? So there's going to be several different options we're going to present as well. And then finally, when do I need to do it and all these things. Hopefully that when will feel less pressing to you after all this. But, if you feel like it needs to happen, we'll let you know when you can do it as well.
Okay.
All right.
So let's get right into it then.
So first off, I think we need to go back a little bit and talk about what we said. Okay, so what we said at the beginning, right, was that there's a lot of moving parts in the Trident, right, based on all these number of moving parts and the wear and tear that we suspect that will happen, we expect a service window of 18 to 24 months.
Right. So the first thing, in response to that, and we said it then, and I'm saying it again now, is you have something that has moving parts that is required to have a certain precision level to it. It's effectively lab equipment, ironically not as expensive as it is for the average hobbyist, because it is a luxury or expensive thing. As a piece of lab equipment, it is probably one of the least expensive pieces of lab equipment you could possibly find to do these kinds of things. However, because of all of those things together, it does require some level of servicing at some time interval.
Yes. And when we made that estimate of 18 to 24 months, that was our best guess, right? So the way that the Trident was developed, yes, it had been operating in Neptune systems. Yes, we had been using it, but you can't necessarily put the number of duty cycles on that right away to understand exactly how it's going to happen until it actually happens.
Right, and on top of that, like I said to you, there's a balance because it's going to be different for everybody, right? Based on different environments that you have. It can be, lots of different environments in your house, lots of ways that you're running it. If you're running it more than the next person, all of these different things, and that's not unlike like your car. And they recommend. I was telling Paul earlier, they recommend your car. Let's say at 75,000 miles, you get a timing belt change. It's not like your timing belt is all of a sudden going to break at 76,000 miles. miles.
No, and you may be that guy driving around at 200,000 miles, still on the original belt.
Or at 125,000 miles, it might blow your engine up.
And that's
so there's a recommendation that they have.
That's not a good day. You know, fortunately, the things that necessarily need to be replaced on the Trident, which we're going to get to in a second, don't necessarily break your Trident if they stop working.
Right.
Right. It just means that, you know, it's going to be not working or not working as well.
Not as precise, maybe.
It's not going to be as precise and those sorts of things. At no point have we seen any of these parts actually just stop working altogether. Right.
So, you know, there's one of the things.
We've got notes today.
Yeah, we have to follow a script today. So, one of the things that we made the initial thought of how long this would take is based just around our understanding of the various components. One of the reasons we understand it much better today is pretty obvious. We have thousands of these out there, like I said, that have been running hundreds of thousands, if not millions of cycles already, and we're able to understand based on what we get in through the service side of things, what's actually happening. And be looking at some of these, we have them here that have been running, some of them almost 2.5 years or so.
We have, like in real time, we've had them running for almost 2.5 years. Some of the older ones in here, and, you know, including mine.
Production level versions, yeah.
But I've been running the testing frequency on mine that would be triple the amount of what normal people would be running.
Right.
Right. So really,
12 times a day instead of 4 times a day.
Yes, and so now it really has the wear and tear of almost 4.5, 5 years. And I will say at this point, nothing has needed to be replaced. That the service program will offer, and it continues to operate normally. Have I had to do a couple things on my Trident, you know, to basically keep it working? Yes, right? But nothing that necessarily means it was because a part stopped working.
So we know a little bit more now, right? And you know, things are holding up better than we could have hoped for in some areas.
Yes. So things that are holding up much better than we expected, you know, is the peristaltic head on that dose. That was basically one of the big timing factors, right?
Right.
And we're showing that that's still going to need to be replaced, but it isn't wearing out as fast as we thought it was. It's such a high quality dosing pump head, right? It's not wearing out. And then some things altogether we don't have to replace. So we were suspecting that we were going to need to replace that farm tubing that goes from your reagent bottle all the way to the Trident manifold, right? Where the pumping and all that.
The yellow Farm Ed tubing, that's super high quality stuff. And most people don't realize that, like by the foot, that stuff is 20 times as expensive as the other clear stuff.
Yeah, so like the waistline and the Trident sample tube, we could give that away all day, right? But that farm tubing, it's one of the more costly items inside the Trident.
For sure. So right now, I guess, Paul, you said that you're looking at, we're probably the next recommendation that we would make, and we're going to start this program, but the real recommendation change going forward is going to be 24 months onward.
Yeah, and that 24 months is very loose, right? We have NSI members who are still running their Tridents just fine. They're not having any issues.
Sure.
And there have been NSI members that have had issues. Again, though, it's not really necessarily around these parts. There's been actually a handful that have had part issues, right?
Right. But if you want continuous usability and you want to be assured that you're going to get the precision that you get, we're still recommending now at 24 months.
24 months or so, and again, you can, it's really how is your Trident operating? You're going to start seeing signs, if it starts throwing more errors, right, and the precision just doesn't seem to be there as much, right? That's going to be indicative of I'm probably getting there.
Okay.
But it's 24 months or more, and the big thing that I want to stress right now is recommended.
Yeah,
this
absolutely.
is by no means required. There's nothing that's going to lock you out in Apex Fusion because you're going on, 2.5 years or something like that. It's just going to be a recommended thing. You don't need to do it. You can be that person too that continues to run it until it breaks.
Right.
That's fine too, if that's the way you want to do it. It's purely recommended.
So let's keep this moving. Let's talk about the parts now that are going to be part of this program, right? What's going to be the things that get serviced, right?
Yeah. So I have the parts here on the desk. I think we're going to get an overhead cam here.
Ooh, look at that.
So there are a couple parts that we're going to be replacing, and I'll just kind of go through each of these.
Okay.
The biggest, most important part that really brings the precision home on that Trident is the peristaltic head, right? And these are, it's like other peristaltic heads you've seen.
No, it's not.
In the sense that the way gets replaced, but it is it's incredibly high quality, incredibly precise, and really what that pump makes all the difference.
It is not the same as I'm going to roll back the clock a little bit to when we were slipping dates on the Trident and everybody skewered us.
Jeez, man.
The reason that they skewered us is exactly because of that particular part and us using another manufacturer's part that looks very much like that. Almost, I think they probably copied it, right, or tried to copy it, and had stated precision levels that were one thing. And we spent months and months and months
trying to get it to work because that pump would have brought down the price in the Trident more.
Exactly.
But we had
this
to
is
go.
a super expensive pump, and the pump head itself is super expensive as well, and that's where you get the precision out of to get these really, really tiny drops.
So that is one part that's going to be replaced, and I'm going to get to the how.
Hang on one second, Paul. The other thing too is because we're going to get this question right is. Why can't I just replace this tube because a tube goes bad in it?
Just forget it. Okay, it's very difficult to actually pull that all apart and everything like that. And
every part as a whole wears, though, Paul.
Yes,
that's what I was going to say.
It's the
everything
outside
together
wall.
Wears.
It's everything, and it's the constant stretching of that. And as of yet, we've had, I don't know, I can't even count it on two hands, but people that we've actually replaced those on. But we do show that when it is replaced, precision does improve a very small amount.
Okay.
So that is one part that is included in the service part, and is probably the most important thing. The next thing that is included in the service pack is you're going to be taking out and replacing that cuvette assembly.
Okay.
And that's actually one of the more challenging parts of the Trident repair. I would say probably the most difficult part of the Trident repair.
Obviously, opening that front cover is not difficult, but the rest of it is.
It's taking it out, right? Disconnecting things, being very careful in its reconnection. Because if you reconnect things in the wrong way, you can damage your Trident, to the point that it essentially.
And I'll also mention here too, Paul, that this particular cuvette is a custom design from us. This isn't some off-the-shelf part. It's got special plastic that's used, or I think it's an acrylic type plastic. And you can see the bottom drain on it, and there's a bunch of design features in that.
Right. So if you, I don't, is it showing up well on here? It is. Yeah. So you can see that the connector, the tubing is right on there, and it's all the way to the bottom. Like, it can literally suck out every drop. And then also when you're holding that, I make this clear in the instructions as well, you be careful not to scratch it. That can cause issues because the way the Trident works is it passes an LED light through and to sense color change, and if there's a scratch right where that LED light is, that's going to make a problem.
So Austin, just hang tight on this live stream, okay? Just let us finish, and then you're gonna hear the whole thing, buddy.
Okay. Anyways. And then another part that gets replaced, so a part that does wear out fairly easily is the tubing that you have on the waistline and the sample line.
Okay.
So that's not the tubing that you see. It's the tubing that's internal. So the way the Trident kind of works is essentially you have these solenoids, right? And these solenoids is are where the tubing goes through. And you have the constant closing and opening of those solenoids. As time goes on and on and on, and the opening and closing, it starts to wear on those tubes. And
it wears more on this type of tube than it does on the Farm Ed type.
It doesn't really wear on the Farm Ed tube because of the high quality nature of it. But the less expensive waistline tubing, the clear tubing that's on your waistline, it does tend to wear that out. We do not use the sample line tubing inside because that sample line tubing, if you actually use it, is super pliable. Right, and so the sample line tubing doesn't necessarily produce white. You'll see it come all the way in the sample line tubing, but then it has this little clear connector where it connects into the more clear waist tubing. So that is a part that you replace, and you replace the connectors that are inside the little connectors that you even see on the outside of your Trident. You have new connectors with that, and then we also include a sample and new waistline. Right. Just because. Doesn't hurt and all that. John, we're going to get to costing and all that sort of stuff in a little bit.
Don't you worry, we're going to cover it all.
So that's essentially what's in the kit.
Okay.
Okay. Now, there is a couple of different. I'll let you. How should we go to the next part?
So first of all, we spent a lot of time trying to come up with what's the best way to make sure that we hit all of the customers.
Yeah.
And we've seen some comments come up already about, wow, I mean, that's just, do you have to do it yourself, et cetera. And really what we did was we decided that there has to be a way, first of all, that there are a lot of people who want to do the thing themselves. So we have to have that as an option.
Yeah.
The second thing is we have to be able to have people where it's all done for them. And within those people, there are really two kinds of people. People who want it immediately,
And
right?
people who
they
want,
can't be down.
and then people who are okay with being down and want their Trident back.
Yeah, they don't want an exchange. They don't want somebody else's. They don't want a refurbished one. They want the exact one they had before. And so we had to address all of these things, and I think that that we did a really good job about it. So let's just dive into each one of those individually.
So first off, there is a lot of process, in which helping you determine this, right? And so,
that's
age
right.
of the Trident, right? Which service kit's going to be best for you? Do you need a service, right? So all these different sorts of things. And so I've built this interactive form that's basically done, and it is essentially walks you through, putting in all your name, putting in your information. When did you buy your Trident? When did you install your Trident? What is your serial number? Are you having a problem? Are you not having a problem? Do you think that this is a good time to service? And even giving you troubleshooting steps, right? You probably don't need service if you're having this issue. Do you want to try to fix this on your own?
Right.
Or do you want to say, no, I don't want to do that. I just want to send it in. So we kind of walk you through all that and kind of do that.
No, you did a great job on that, to be able to tell people, to be able to help people through the process. There's going to be a couple of types of people. There's going to be the people who absolutely go, you know what? I'm this kind of person. It's now 18, 19, 20, 24 months, whatever it is. I want to send mine in. I want to feel good about it. I don't want to be thinking about it ever again. And you're going to have another person who
wants to jump in and, let's say, for example, their Trident got clogged because,
Right.
They were gone on vacation and they didn't check their reagents, so the Trident was off for 2 or 3 weeks. You can unclog it probably without getting these parts, right? And, I'll walk you through that if that's something you want to do.
But if they end up deciding, hey, I got a clog and I
Yeah.
just want to go ahead and get the service done on it anyway, they can still do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And you're always going to give them the option, but you'll also give them the option to fix it on your own. Okay, so now that we've determined if you need service or don't need service, which service kit is for you?
Right.
Okay, so the first service kit is this DIY service kit. Okay, and as it sounds, this is a do-it-yourself service kit.
Right, but this isn't how to sand your your doggy door and repaint it. It's kind of a thing.
No,
right?
no.
I mean,
This is going to be something. I use this in a video. The video that I made for this. This is for those that are mechanically.
It's
inclined,
involved,
right? And so essentially, it's going to include all of those parts that you have there. Okay, and then it's going to also include a 30-minute video. It's actually 28 minutes and 40 seconds. Okay.
And Paul learned on doing this video. Paul has done the other videos as well on the setup, but I think Paul really learned on this one that every minute of a video like this that you do takes hours and hours and hours upon hours.
I have been working on this for months, guys, and
it's really good.
I've learned a lot at this point, in terms of having to make things work. I think we even have a little snippet here of what that video looks like, so you guys can kind of understand what's really going to be involved here. So there's me, it's
in speed up mode.
This is, I think, 2.5, 4 times mode, right?
That's how I watch all the videos.
It's literally taking everything
I don't recommend
apart,
that for you though when you do this.
right? Yeah, it's. I mean, you can see here. There's the entire disassembled Trident. Here's you putting the cuvette assembly back in. Here's reconnecting tubing.
My feeling on this, Paul, is the reason I love this video is because I think it's probably going to just have a lot of people just go, look, I don't want to hassle with this, and I'm going to just send it in.
It's for someone who likes to do things themselves.
Yeah,
right?
they actually enjoy that almost.
That is like this sort of thing is something fun for them. I personally feel that I hope, and my goal is that if someone were to watch this video, they would be 100% successful. I have tried it out with a couple of customers, and they've been successful, right? Without any priming, right? Hey, you have this issue. Do you want to do it yourself? And they're like, oh yeah, I want to do it myself, but I'm a mechanic. Right. So that's always what I hear afterwards, So
and I think the key thing here with the do-it-yourself kit is you like doing this kind of stuff. You enjoy understanding how something works. You like getting your hands into something. If you're doing it to save $100 and that's the only reason, and you're not super into doing that other stuff, probably not the right direction for you.
Like I said, it is a 30-minute video, you know, and it is all of 30 minutes, and it will take you about an hour. We had one of our employees' wives do it, okay, who does QA. I should mention she does QA, but she was able to successfully
Well, I think the
follow
more
it.
important thing is she's not in the fish industry.
She's
She
not,
doesn't
doesn't do
necessarily
fish stuff,
understand any of
right?
the stuff.
So
Doesn't understand a Trident, et cetera. So
had never touched a Trident before
Right.
seen the video. So, and she was successful. And so it is possible, but you have to want to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, if you don't want to do that and you would see that as a chore, then the DIY service option is not for
So
you.
we're going to have a kit, right? It's going to include all of these things that are here on the table that you can't see where I'm doing this thing with. But yes, all of these things.
That includes all those things in the kit. all
Correct.
right? And that's DIY service.
And the awesome video.
And the awesome video.
Free of charge,
The
thrown
awesome
in.
video will just be there for anyone that wants it, you know.
Sure.
It will get released at the point that we make the Trident service kit a public option.
And it will be less than $100.
Oh yeah, definitely less than
Okay.
100. And
It's going to be more than 50,
more than 50, less than 100.
but we don't know exactly where we're setting
We're
it
still
just yet.
figuring a couple things out in terms of what that is, and it really depends on how the NSI goes and if everything.
If we
in
have
there
other
is-
things to add to the kit or not
Yeah,
add to the
exactly.
kit. Exactly.
So then the other option, right, is
Next
the
up.
next up, right, is the send and serve. Okay, send and serve is you take your Trident offline, okay, you shut it down, you put it in a box, you send it to Neptune Systems, we service it, we send it back to you with a 2-month reagent kit.
Oh, awesome.
Okay, and
Bonus.
you would cover the shipping to us, okay, and we cover the shipping back to you.
Okay, so shipping one way.
When shipping one way
From you to us.
from the customer to Neptune Systems, that's your deal.
Okay.
Okay. And then from Neptune Systems to the customer, that is our deal.
And this is where we've also told people early on, or I should say Paul told them in the video, to save your box, right?
Remember?
Save your packaging.
Remember when? Oh my gosh! Remember when
Yes.
the video leaked, and then like, oh my gosh, you're gonna have to service it. And
Yes, all of that.
Oh,
So saving your box and your packaging is nice if you did it. If you haven't got to try it yet, when you do get it, save your
Save
packaging.
your packaging.
And that'll help out. That'll make it easier for when you send it in. So
You know, it worked. It really did work.
a lot of
90% of Tridents that come in with a box.
That's so
We
cool.
get those boxes from Saltwater Aquarium.
I'm going to say it's because the box looks so cool.
the box looks great. You did a great job on the box.
So this one, now the key thing here is obviously you have your travel time to get to us, and then we have to have it, we're going to have it somewhere around a week,
Yeah.
right? 3 to 7 work days, something like that.
I think 3 to 5 is probably what we're
Okay.
going to do. You know, don't hold me to that yet. I don't.
Right.
You know, there's still a lot of unknowns here. In
we have to
terms
go
of
through
the-
NSI.
We have to go
That's
through
why
NSI, right? So that's why I'm kind of like, you know. But then we would ship it back to you, and it's really just the shipping time back to you. It is.
And the shipping cost back to them is ground.
I am actually in great conversations with FedEx right now. about
Oh, really?
that. So
Okay.
yeah. So I'm working
What about
on.
Canada?
I'm also working on that.
Canada's a heartburn for us.
Yeah,
It
we
should
love you
seem, I mean, they're
guys.
the 51st state. It should be easy, but sorry, it's just a joke.
They don't want to belong. Anyways, that will. So this is good for the person that is very particular about their Trident.
Right.
Right. So if you're very particular about a little scratch or a ding,
Or you just don't want somebody else's
Stuff, you know.
because it could have come in as one that was exchanged out before you, and if it's really banged up, we're going to change the cover on it and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to get some beat up.
no. I mean, they'll
Type
be.
of thing,
I mean, it's not going to be one that's like been dropped and
No,
all
but like
banged up.
anything
but there
that's
could
reeferred,
be
you could have a little bit of a paint
scratch
thing
or
in
a
the back corner or
discolorment
something.
somewhere. And so if you're very particular about those things, this is not a good option for
Correct.
you. Okay.
But you do get a free 2-month kit with it.
You do get a free 2-month kit.
included
And
one, I
this is someone who is also comfortable with looking at what my dose has done in the last 7 days, right? And
dose.
says, so if they're doing Trident controlled dosing,
Oh, okay. Yes.
right? And saying, looking at what their Trident has been done in the last
forgot about
days,
this.
they're
Good
not they're not going to make any major changes in the next 2 weeks.
Right. They've almost got it dialed in, and it doesn't fluctuate too much, and
Yeah.
they can just.
So and basically, that's how much you would then put as to dose in
Right.
a 24-hour period. Okay.
Reef Dude says much sadness because I've made the Canadian joke.
We love you
I
guys.
know.
We really do. I mean, we do.
Oh, I thought it was that. I thought it was Devin was making a problem because of. Okay. So I think we've dealt with that one. People
Devin doesn't
understand
have
that.
it. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I know.
He's got another. He's got something else.
I don't know. I don't know what he does.
Anyways, something else. And so we don't have a definite price for that, but it's going to be
Around 150
Around
bucks.
150 bucks. It really depends on the shipping stuff that I'm trying to negotiate with FedEx right now. That's where the big part of this
Whether
cost
it's going to go
comes in.
up $10, $15 or down $10.
Yes.
Okay.
So, and quickness is another part of
Right.
is important
How
for
fast
this.
to get it back to
you
me.
know. And then finally, right, we have the option of what we call the advanced Trident replacement.
Right.
Okay. This is where we take a Trident that we've serviced, okay, and have refurbished, have tested to the nines, in terms of it passes the same.
It goes through the same thing.
It passes the same production testing that Tridents go through.
Right.
Okay. And we then return that to you, the customer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then you have a return shipping label inside from Neptune Systems. You then take your Trident offline, and there'll be a process in which you take it offline. You shut down your Trident.
Okay.
Okay. You then take this new Trident, you plug it in, you hit a couple task buttons, and it basically will put that Trident exactly where your old one was.
So that we've done software things. What he's basically saying is because it's obvious you're getting a new piece of hardware to your Apex. It's going to see it as a completely different Trident, and so it has to take all the stuff from the old one and put it into the new one virtually, right, out in the cloud and whatnot. And so you don't have to worry about that. Now this is the nice thing about this is that you can take your time, basically, right? I mean, granted, you can't take 6 months. You're gonna have a return label. We're gonna be on you for that a little bit.
Yeah. Well,
There's a deposit.
So there's a deposit. Okay, the deposit's still going to be negotiated with Boss Man, but I'm aiming that for between probably about $300 or so. It may be a little bit more, but the cost of this service will be $200.
$200.
Yeah.
And it includes also a 2-month kit.
It includes also a 2-month kit.
So there you go. That's a $45 value.
Unless you were using 2-month kits from a reagent, 6-month reagent kit.
Oh yeah, then it's $33 value.
$3.
But still, I mean, it certainly sounds good to me.
So
that's a $50 difference if you just want to just be like turnkey. I get it.
But we wanted to make sure we had that option for people that definitely want their Trident back.
For sure.
Right? With electronics, you always got to be wonder what happened to it before it came to you.
Right.
So if it's a new piece of equipment, you know exactly what happened. It got tested on the production floor and it came to you.
So back to all of these myths of people like wringing their hands and wondering, about this. Every 6 months I got to send in a Neptune and then they're going to charge me some ungodly figure. We've now figured out that it's 18, maybe 24 months. And for $200, you get one tomorrow and can take your time to change it out with another one. It's all completely done for you, and you're effectively running a fully reconditioned Trident.
Effectively.
So, and by the way, for that $200, you're getting another 2 months reagent built in there as well.
Yes, I would say.
I think that's a pretty fair shake.
So it's a DIY that's going to be less than 100, more than 60, I'd say.
Right.
It's going to be in that price range. You're going to have the send and serve, which will be about 150. It may be a little less. And then finally, you will have the advanced product replacement that we're committing to you right now that it will not be more than $200. It will be $200 exactly. The deposit, which is essentially you may have to put down $350 on your credit card. When we get your Trident back,
it gets credited back.
It then gets credited back the difference of $150 or so.
So a couple of questions, and I thought about this too. With Trident controlled dosing,
Yeah.
Okay, on the second option, and it's the Trident is now gone and not providing data to your Trident now for 2 or 3 weeks, let's say.
Yeah.
Okay. What does your Trident controlled dosing do without having the Trident there?
It falls back to the nominal dose.
Okay.
So the nominal dose, or the normal dose, as most people would call it.
Yes,
but
I
we
know.
call it the nominal. The normal dose is the amount that you say, in a normal situation, I want to dose 50 milliliters a day.
Okay.
The Trident may be pushing on the gas, so you're actually doing like 65 milliliters a day.
Right.
And if you were to look at your dosing logs, and you were to say, wow, it does 60 milliliters about every day, even though I have 50 programmed here.
Right.
You would then just change your normal dose
Right.
from 50 to 60.
And in reality, that's what people should be doing every once in a while anyway, shouldn't they?
Yeah, you should always be reviewing those sorts of things. And if you're consistently above what you are normally supposed to do, well, then it's probably time to bump it up.
So I see John Reefer, Vermont says it's $300 every 2 years. No, John, it's not. We said
It's $200.
it's $150 if you want to do it that way, right? And that's at the earliest, we're now saying 24 months.
Yes.
So no, that's $150 every 2 years.
Yes, every 2 years. And on top of that, this is recommended.
Correct.
This is not required, right? Just like, you may run your oil changeover. If your Trident is operating normally and the precision is still there, right? When you start to see that precision drift, if you're starting to run into errors, that you are able to write, those are the points that maybe it's time to start thinking about the recommended service.
So, okay, so now when is it going to happen?
Oh, he meant his espresso maker.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, we didn't.
You guys are on these side
like
chats.
we
See the last 6 or 7 coming through here, and we think it's completely relevant to what we're talking about, and you're over there talking coffee.
So
okay?
we think that those are fair prices, and
yeah, I don't think we're gonna have any problem with people thinking that's not fair. So, all right. So when's it going to be available, and for who, and how, and all of that, Paul?
So we will launch the NSI of this now that we have done this live stream. We will launch the NSI to this, within the next week or so. Okay. NSI members, we will contact you. There's no need to send us an email right now and say, when can I send my Trident in? We will literally contact you and tell you all. Yes.
I don't know about, are you going to contact all of them? Everybody who's on Trident NSI?
Everyone who's on Trident NSI.
Is going to get, okay.
Part of what I'm interested to know is what the behavior is going to be, right? Are we going to get people that actually do a lot more of the DIY kit?
Right.
And when we did Trident NSI, trust me, we didn't choose just the super techie people.
Right.
Trident NSI included people that had never even set up an Apex, right? So we are hopefully getting the entire spectrum of our customers representative in that NSI, right? We'll see their behavior. And then based on that behavior, we'll make some adjustments. And then our goal is to launch this to retail customers in March or so.
Okay.
That is the goal, and we.
So stay tuned. For the general public, right? Stay tuned. NSI people, get ready.
Yep.
And international, because I did see a question come up on international.
Yeah.
And as far as the international, as far as the launch was concerned, they were about 6 months or so behind the U.S. in terms of the Trident launch. I would expect solutions for them to be localized in some way. We don't know how yet. And more information will be available on that.
We need to, but like those are almost like service centers, right?
Sure.
So we need to figure it out on our own end and see what actually happens here before we can go out and say, hey, this is how it needs to happen.
There's lots of options,
right? And Trident.
Certainly, we know the DIY kit will be made available.
Trident internationally has only been available for what? We did that not even a year yet. Trident internationally hasn't even been available for a year.
Has it?
Yeah. I think it was, I don't even keep it. It was like maybe in March or April, right?
You got all kinds of time.
Yeah.
All kinds of time. Don't worry about that service.
Yeah.
Drive that car.
It's like we said, we're moving that recommendation to a firm 24 months. The Trident was released in May, of 19. Okay?
Of 19.
May of 19, right? So. So we'll be in May of 21.
Right.
So we are making it available even a little bit earlier to those people, right, who purchased it. So they'll be at about the 22-month part. But we don't recommend that you do it at that point, right? Really, watch how your Trident operates. If you feel that there's precision, or if you just want to get ahead of the ball, start thinking about that at the 24-month point.
Yeah. So, and to recap kind of the program in a very short,
succinct
way, okay?
Not Paul. Not the Paul way.
Starting somewhere around March, you will be able to have one of 3 options to take care of the recommended Trident service through our Trident service program, correct?
Yes. One.
Number
will be
one?
the DIY kit.
Okay. All right. Yes. One is the DIY kit.
85, somewhere around.
Somewhere, but somewhere under 100, over 60.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where it's going to exactly end up because we have to still decide things. Number 2, and I'm trying to keep this short, Paul. Number 2 is you're going to send it in. We're going to fix it and repair it and do whatever we need to do to it with our service center. Send it back out to you with a brand new 2-month kit. It's going to cost you somewhere around $150. Number 3, you basically contact us through Paul's awesome form, like all of these you do. And you say, I want to do the advanced replacement option. You're going to get a deposit of $300 to $350, somewhere in there, deposit on your card. You're going to be charged $200 for the service. We're going to send you out a fully reconditioned Trident that may have a couple of blemishes, it's hard to say, and it's going to have a 2-month kit. You're going to get it. It's going to come with a label, right? You're going to exchange it out. All your settings, everything are going to come through. All of your data is going to stay there. You're going to stick the label on the box that you saved, send that one back to us. You get your deposit back, done.
I think you hit it. There is one question here that we did not touch on. Will the DIY kit be available in the channel?
Yeah, we didn't touch on that only because it's not exactly clear yet, but out of the gate, it's for sure going to be available direct from us, mainly because we want to really have a really tight connection with all the customers who are getting it.
Yes.
And what they're doing with it, and if they have issues, et cetera.
Just like we did with the reagents initially, right? We had to understand what the behavior was, what the velocity was, all of these different things before we could start stocking our channel.
Yep.
And and it's also with this, because it is such a service-oriented sort of product. Even the DIY for that matter, it's very close that we're very connected with our customers.
Yep.
You know?
So that's it. And let's get, maybe if there's any other questions, Vincent, that you think are really important for us to answer before we shut this thing down.
What do we do?
We're right about 1 hour. Yeah.
You know,
Ken just gave me the 1 hour warning on one of his comments there. I saw that roll by.
Appreciate it.
Probably not that one. Let's see. Oh, espresso. So, okay, I'll make one last comment about NSI, right? So there's 2 things we talked about with NSI here. One for the Trident is for the recommended service program for the Trident. Those people are going to be selected from the prior Trident NSI group that already existed. Other projects that we've got going this year, including the Sky and others, those are going to be selected out of a group of people that we pulled in the middle of last year, and sometime this year, probably somewhere near mid-year, maybe sooner, who knows, we will go back out to Facebook and say, anybody want to do this, and we'll get some new people. And that's how the NSI works.
Yeah.
That's really it for today, guys. Hope you enjoyed the show.
Yeah.
Hope this was
informative. A lot of
informative.
information today.
I hope you got it all straight. And those of you who are out on the social media sites and whatnot, please spread the word, spread it correctly, get the right information out there. Correct those people who are getting it wrong. Maybe some of them, maybe they're even, well, anyway.
try to not play the game of telephone, right? And try to give the information as clearly and succinctly as possible. We would appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Website page will probably be going up sometime next week, giving more of these details, as we have them, and kind of go from there. So
till next time, enjoy those fish, guys. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.